Let's do this again. All right, guys. So in today's video, I'm talking about Velma's family tree because I want to go over the family trees of each of the Scooby-Doo members. And Velma, honestly, this video was kind of difficult to do because not a lot of her family is depicted as, oh, this is her maternal, this is her paternal. It's wild. So she has probably one of the widest but more job narrow family. And in this video, I am going to be talking about that. So I'm going to explain first up what each of the colors, because you're probably looking at this and being like, why is there so many different color lines instead of just black? Because normally that's what somebody does in a family tree, is they just use black to illustrate where the stuff is. Well, I don't know. I like colors. So blue is siblings, white is marriage, green is children, orange is cousins, and red is a theory that I have. It's not 100%, but it's just a kind of little small theory I have. So let's begin with the oldest members of the Dinkley family that we know of, and that is Basil von Dinkenstein, and he was a scientist and baron, the great uncle of Velma. He purposely created the Frankencreep monster from the movie Scooby-Doo Frankencreepy. His brother is Basil, the brother of Basil is Otto von Dinkley. He is the great-grandfather of Velma. We also have a Mrs. Dinkley, but we do not know her first name. We also do see her in Frankencreepy holding what is possibly Velma's grandfather, or what might be another family member. So speaking about the grandfathers, we do have one. We do not know if he's paternal or maternal since he is white-haired, so we can't say for sure that he is the child that Mrs. Dinkley is holding from Frankencreepy, but we also do get to see a great-great-grandmother of Velma. Now, she would most likely be the opposite maternal or paternal side, which honestly, looking back at this family, is weird with how similar the family vibe is. And her name is Thelma Lou, and she was a cowgirl detective in the Old West. Now, I did put the lines for children for Otto and Mrs. Dinkley on top of Velma's grandfather. That's because, I mean, looking at the mustaches, I know it's like a very weak argument, just do mustaches, but I want to say so. And then for Velma, I put pink because it's just I have no idea. So I forgot to explain that one, but yeah, I have no idea. So that's why there's pink on the line between Thelma Lou and the grandfather. Now let's get into her long list of aunts and uncles. First up, we'll start with the ladies because there's less of them. First one we get to see is Aunt Thelma. Now we see her in a pup named Scooby-Doo. She's a marine biologist at the Coolsville Marine Institute and cares deeply for the dolphins, but we do not know whether she is maternal or paternal. Now there's also a Mrs. Dinkley that is mentioned in What's New Scooby-Doo Lights Camera Monster, but she isn't shown. And the most well-known aunt of Velma is Aunt Meg. But before that, I want to throw a hat in a ring and theorize that maybe Aunt Meg and Aunt Thelma might be sisters, and then I kind of delved into a little bit more later on. Now, Aunt Meg and her husband, Uncle Evan, live in a small town of Banning Junction. If you don't remember, this was the first one where we get to see Kiss and Scooby-Doo meet, sort of. They don't actually have interaction with each other, I don't think, but it is kind of cool to see them. They do come, I think they do say something later on though in the episode by the time they leave. They're both farmers who have a daughter named Marcy who was born on Halloween in the episode What's New Scooby-Doo Halloween. Now, we actually get to meet a far more out member of the Dinkleys with Aunt Gretchen. She's the one, and I'm popping up pictures so that way you guys can see them a little bit more clearer. Aunt Gretchen here, she's the blonde that looks like she's a princess. She's the ownership of a futuristic Renaissance fair, and we actually get to see her in a comic book it's called Scooby-Doo Unfair Play at the Fair. And Velma actually has a name, or an aunt named Dahlia Pinkley. She's a video game designer. Well, she's a game designer and the owner of a video game company. She is also in a comic book. Geesh, I can't say the word comic. She's in the Scooby-Doo No Malone comic book. And now we're going to finish up with the aunts. We're going to talk about Aunt Selma. She is an older, tall, and strong looking. She runs her own dog obedience school and dresses a lot like Velma. Glasses, mini skirt, and orange sweater. We see her in the Scooby-Doo Doggone Ghost comic book. And honestly, she might be where Velma gets her style from, because her parents obviously dress up better than Velma, to be honest. Now, let's get into the uncles of Velma. First up is an Uncle Albert. Now, we don't see him. There's no images of him, but he is mentioned as being an Egyptologist in Scooby-Doo and his TV friends in The Mummy's Curse. And I believe that one is a comic book as well. I'm not 100%. But next up is another comic character, because they do have a lot of comics with the families. And I know I'm going to get into it when I go into Fred. Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby, but this one is named Uncle Brad. He actually looks a lot different than the rest of the Dinkley clan, and he is in Scooby-Doo and the Eerie Ice Monster. He works at a mining town, most likely as a geologist, since we do not know for sure what he does, but if the rest of the family seems to be farmers and science-based, I want to say it's probably a geologist. And I mean, well, I was about to say, you can almost say that Aunt Gretchen isn't science-based because she's a Renaissance fair princess, but it is futuristic, so that is science-based. Now, Uncle Dave is a border patrol officer we meet and watch out, it's the Willowaw. He is very diligent at his job and gets taken by the Owlman for doing such a good job. Uncle Elmo, who we see next, is in a pup named Scooby-Doo, and he is in the Return of Commander Cool episode. He is a hospital doctor, and I want to say most likely he is Velma's paternal uncle, since he looks very similar in structure to a Pup News Scooby-Doo version of Velma's dad. Now, I think I'm going to keep that theory that they're brothers, but less likely pretty much. And Uncle John, who I think is actually the first family member I seen on TV, like the Scooby-Doo gang family member. I think that's the first one I ever seen on TV. Now, he's an archaeologist, and this dude is a workhorse who is stated to actually forget his surroundings, and we see him in the Scooby-Doo show The Curse of Viking Lake. Now, we have Uncle Ted, who is an archaeologist. We meet him in the comics Scooby-Doo Dinosaur Dig, and he has a dog named, I have to pronounce that correctly, otherwise YouTube might take down my channel, and I don't want that. We also have an Uncle Brent, who is actually the villain in the same comic we meet Aunt Gretchen in Unfair Play at the Fair. Like I said, he is the brother of Aunt Gretchen, so that's why he's not with the uncles, he's on the other side with the aunts, and he has the blue line next to him. Last up is Uncle Cosmo, and we see him in the new Scooby-Doo Mysteries Ghost of Ancient Astronauts. He is a professor in archaeology and Velma's paternal uncle, so that one's for certain. Now, I have another theory. I did not add it to the diagram, but what if Aunt Thelma, Aunt Meg, Uncle Dave, and Uncle Cosmo are all siblings? If you look at it, they all wear almost similar glasses and also have brown hair. I know genetics can change a lot, but sometimes they might not. I don't know, but what do y'all think? Comment down below. I also want to say, in case that's the whole theory, then Velma's dad would also be on that side, and if that's the case, holy crap, Grandma Velma or Grandma Dinkley and Grandpa Dinkley got busy, because that's a lot of kids. That's a lot of science. Oh my gosh, I hope they got scholarships. Okay, excusing that. Now, let's get into Velma's mom and dad. We do not know much about the mother and father, but we do know for certain that both of their names are Angie and Dale. But other than that, we do not know a lot. They did run the Spook Museum in Coolsville, but after the ending of the show, reality was reset and they no longer worked at the museum in Mystery Incorporated. And I don't believe we ever knew what they did in a pup named Scooby-Doo. So getting to the final members of the Dinkley clan, this is going to be the cousins and the sisters. So the first cousin we get to see is actually Tarvish McDougal, and we see Tarvish in the oldest comics in 1977. He is Velma's third cousin twice removed. He owns his own large hotel, he made it look like a castle, and he was in the comic book The Horrible Hound Sound. And I think those issues were only 2, and I think they were by Marvel. Like his was the second comic, and then they axed it. I don't even remember what the first one was, but yeah. And then this one I actually forgot. I tried to pre-record this, record this another time, and I completely forgot to add this guy. So Ludwig von Hammersley. Ludwig is the owner of von Hammersley, von Hammersley. I've added an E instead of an A, okay. Superconductors. He is in SD Techno Heckno, and he's the guy that kind of looks like a James Bond wannabe villain. Of course, Velma has a cousin named Velma Dinkley. She is almost a 1-for-1 copy of Velma, except she has freckles. She's also an Egyptologist, just like a lot of the Dinkley members we see in Scooby-Doo Jinx at the Sphinx. Honestly, I want to put in she might be the daughter of Uncle Cosmo, if I'm looking at this correctly. I want to say they are very similar. I mean, the whole family's very similar, so I don't know why I'm saying that, but yeah. Now, of course, is Marcy, who, depending on her episodes, the broadcasting channel, it's either 2003 or 2008 when her episode came out. We have already mentioned her earlier in the video, but I wanted to mention her again in the cousin section. Now, Sarah, we don't really get to see her that well. We meet Sarah in the Outback Attack comic book of Scooby-Doo World of Mystery. We do not know who her parents parents are, but with the blonde hair, I am thinking she might be on the same side, or maybe the daughter of Gretchen or Uncle Brent. Because like I said, genetics, it can be a recessive gene and then come out to be a dominant gene. Now, Lilia is a botanist. We meet her in the Italian comics, The Were Plant. Honestly, it has a separate first name, but I know I'll butcher it. Like I'm talking about the comic, the Italian comic. I'm not even gonna try because I don't think anybody wants me to come in to their ears saying something weird Italian. And then the final member of the Dinkley family tree, Velma's little sister Madeline. She is a young teenage girl who is more extroverted than Velma, who is more introverted. She wears bigger purple glasses. She has a major crush on Shaggy, which similar to Velma, and she appears in Scooby-Doo, Abracadabra-Doo. Honestly, I hope we get to see more of her because I think it would be so cool. But kind of wanted to tease this a little bit before the ending of the video. Did you know that there is a theory that Velma has an older sister? There's an old theory that Velma has an older sister, but not much based off because of an old image in a behind-the-scene compilation of the Scooby-Doo 2001 movie. And yeah, that is the complete Velma Dinkley family tree. Next up, it's either going to be Fred or Daphne. I don't know which. I do know I'm going to save Shaggy and Scooby for the very end. But if you like this video, let me know. Comment down below some of your theories on the family tree. Maybe I got some stuff wrong. Maybe there's some stuff that I completely missed and they do know who's who on what side. And also subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping to hit 200 by the time it is my birthday, which is in the middle of the year. So yeah, I'll catch you all later. Peace.